Hey guys, this is Bharat and welcome to Bharat's Kitchen with yeast-free pizza or no yeast pizza. That's right. Well, yeast-free pizza is not as good as the yeast pizza, but in this video recipe, we'll try to make it as good as possible. So for the pizza dough, we're gonna add some all-purpose flour and some yogurt. Now we're not using hung curd here, but I have strained the excess water in the curd. At this point, I'm gonna add some salt and a key ingredient here, that is sugar. And finally, we're gonna add some baking soda and some baking powder. Now what's astonishing here is that I'm using more of baking soda than baking powder, simply because we don't want our pizza base to have a bitter taste or a bad smell. So if you want to know the details and you like those vague and ambiguous words such as monocalcium phosphate, sodium aluminum sulfate, just go and visit the website and you'll find all the information about the recipe and this stuff also. Anyways, back to the recipe. So here we're gonna add some olive oil. You can also add some refined soybean oil or canola oil. And then I'm gonna add some gluten powder. Now don't be afraid of gluten powder. It doesn't make a huge difference in the recipe. You can totally skip it. Now just knead the dough, and kneading is extremely important here. So we're gonna do this kneading thing for about 10 to 15 minutes. Now you can see that initially the dough is damn sticky, but don't be afraid, it should be like this. So when you'll progress in the process of kneading, the dough will by itself come together. And you'll get to know that the dough is ready when it starts to shine a little bit, and it will stick, but it will stay together. Something like this. Now you can see that the dough is not smooth, and it's because of our levying agents and the reaction that is going on inside the dough. Therefore we want the dough to relax a little bit. So I'm going to transfer my dough to a well-oiled bowl and poke the dough once, which will remind me that I'm resting the dough for the first time. So I'm going to cover and keep the dough in a hot place for about 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, you'll notice that there are certain changes in the dough, like it would have risen a little bit and it'll be a little bit smoother. But here we're just gonna knead the dough for 2 minutes, and again we're gonna keep it for resting for 20 minutes in a well-oiled bowl. So this is the second relaxation of the dough, so poke it twice. Just cover it with cling wrap and let it rest for 20 minutes. Alright, after the second resting, you'll notice that the dough is much smoother. You don't believe me? Then watch this. Now if you're wondering what is the purpose of relaxing and then kneading, then again relaxing and then kneading, well basically we want to loosen the dough up. So this dough has small air pockets and we are just stretching them and again contracting them. So it will help the dough to incorporate more air and make it more loose. If you don't believe me, then see how stretchy the dough is. Alright, now for the final resting, we're gonna again cover the dough and keep it in a well-oiled bowl for 2.5 to 4 hours. And I know it's a lot of time, but remember, it's a yeast-free pizza and you want a good quality pizza. Now after the final resting, you'll achieve a super smooth dough like this. I'm just gonna divide the dough into equal pieces and start making a smooth ball out of the dough. Now you have to do this process very carefully because you don't want any cracks on your pizza base. So with the help of your fingers, just tuck the dough towards the bottom center of the dough and then roll it on a flat surface and make sure there are no cracks. Now I'm gonna show you how to make a pizza in two ways. One is a conventional method and the other is a little different than conventional method. So for the first method, I'm gonna dust some all-purpose flour on the dough and roll it with a rolling pin. And here I have a pizza screen on which I'm gonna transfer my pizza base. Now if you don't have a pizza screen, then don't worry. You can use a pizza tray, a pizza stone, or even you can put a butter paper below your pizza base. Okay, now here you'll notice that the base is quite evenly distributed, maybe a little thick on the edges, but basically it's quite even. I'm just gonna prick some holes and bake my pizza base at 180 degrees centigrade or about 360 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 minutes. Now if you're using a microwave on a convection mode, then keep a rack and then put your pizza frame. And if you're using an oven, then keep your pizza on the middle rack. And baking temperature and timing will remain same in both the cases. Alright, this is how your base should look like. It's cooked from the inside, but it's not brown. Now here, if you would have used anything other than a pizza frame, then flip your base and then start to assemble your pizza. Now assembling a pizza is very simple. Just take a pizza tray and rub some oil at the bottom. And here you can use a pizza stone or just keep a butter paper or parchment paper beneath your pizza. Okay, so brush some oil on the corners of the base and apply some pizza sauce. Then I'm gonna sprinkle some oregano seasoning, and I'll pop the link of the seasoning in the description bar down below, so don't worry. After that comes some good quality mozzarella cheese, and finally loads and loads of vegetables. Now you can add any topping of your own choice, don't worry, no one's judging you, except maybe your guest. Now the last step is to bake your pizza. So we're gonna bake our pizza at 250 degrees centigrade or 480 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 minutes, and again you can use any appliances in the same way that we did earlier. So bake until the cheese starts to melt or your pizza looks something like this. Now you can say that this pizza has a nice crust and it's well cooked. But since we've used a rolling pin to roll the pizza, most of its small air pockets have squeezed out. So to have a more firm crust and to have a better base, we're gonna dust the dough with a combination of cornmeal and semolina flour, and this time we're gonna make the base with our hands. So we're gonna make a bed of cornmeal and semolina, keep our dough over it and press it a little bit and then flip it. Then we're gonna start pressing and go around the outside. Basically we're creating a start line for the edge. So keep pressing around the outside and then apply our cornmeal and semolina flour and flip it. So till now we have flipped the base twice. Now you will notice that there will be a hump at the center. So start stretching the pizza from the edges, but don't press at the center. Now keep one of your palm as stationary, and with the help of the other hand, slap the pizza on the flat surface. Basically, now you're stretching the dough. Now I know it's not the professional way to do it, but trust me, it's easy for the beginners. Okay, then transfer the base on your pizza screen, prick some holes, and bake it the same way we baked it in our first method. Now you can see that this time the base has risen considerably. So I'm gonna construct and bake the pizza the same way that I did in the first method. But this time you will have a more crunchy and a firm crust. Now if you look closely, then you can see that this base still has those little air pockets. You can see that the first base is a little dense and has a thin outer crust, whereas the second base is much lighter and has a thick outer crust. But it's totally on you to decide which method you like. Anyways, there it is guys, how to make yeast-free pizza. You'll find all the information and the measurements of the recipe on the website. And if you liked the video, do give it a thumbs up. For updates and queries, you can like me on Facebook. Until then, I'll see you all next time.